Hello, Juventini, and welcome back to the All Juve Cast channel. And this is podcast number 118. And we are coming off the Spezia Juve match. And I've got my man Moran making his second appearance. We talked about this before. And funny enough, it was another 4-1 victory. So, Moran, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Alberto, for this opportunity to be here. Like you said, this is my second time, and I'm excited. You should just keep inviting me to these shows, and you're gonna get like 4-1 victories.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If that's the way it's going to work out, we just got to make you a regular and yeah, make it the All UV cast with Alberto and Moran. But no, that's good, man. Excited to have you back on it. I'm glad that you were able to make it. This was kind of spur of the moment. You just happened to reach out, and my original guest, life happens sometimes, and he wasn't able to make it. So this worked out perfect. And I'm glad to have you on. Let's kick this one off with the starting lineups. So for Juve, they had Gigi Buffon in goal. We had there was a lot of talks. You know, I even posted prior to this match. Maybe this is the time, given the schedule this month is actually pretty favorable for Juve. Maybe this could be a match where we see a 4-3-3, you know, or just a four-man back system. Slot three midfielders in there for stability. Let's see something. But we get the lineup. We got Buffon in goal. We got Danilo, Bonucci, Demiral, Cuadrado, Chiesa, McKennie, Bentancur, and Arthur. So right off the bat, when I saw that, it kind of ruled out any 4-4-2, which was something else that was looming. And I thought, okay, is he going to play Arthur ahead of those two? Is he going to use Arthur in front of the D and move the other two up? I was intrigued because it looked to me like we were going to scrap the Trequartista thing and just line up with three midfielders in there with Dybala and Morata up top. I thought it was, I was intrigued by it in that sense because I think, you know, the two-man pivot was kind of suffering. So I was intrigued by that part. Moran, what were your thoughts when you saw this lineup?
Well, first of all, I think that the only surprise was to me was seeing like McKennie in there. But after watching the game, I'm glad he made that change just because to be honest, I think we're on the same page, you and I, with Rabiot. His a must start. However, his last performance was a disaster. So uh, it was a good wake up call for Rabiot, just saying, hey, if you're not up to par, then there's like other players that can play. So McKennie, it was a good timing to start him. So for me, it's if you ask me, ideally, if Rabiot is in form, I would rather have him with uh, I'm just like blanking Arthur. So Arthur and Rabiot to play, and then obviously I'm rooting to have another midfielder, whether as a trequartista or if the formation is different. We can have uh, Ramsey or basically Kulusevski or somebody else, playing as the third midfielder. Like I say, it can be an attacking midfielder or another midfielder. But I don't think we can, do any good with only two midfielders. So that was the midfield part. And I think at the back line, that there's nothing else you can do. Those are the only players available. And then up front, I agreed with not playing Ronaldo from the start. He hadn't played trained with the team in a while, so it was good. Morata and Dybala. I wasn't sure about how Dybala's card is going to play out, but I couldn't complain. So that's just, and it was also between like Kulu and Chiesa, which one to start. I I think both of them would be okay. So it wasn't unexpected. So I think between the two, he played Chiesa, and I think it was a good move.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, I actually thought I would have probably, even though he's just coming back, it is Spezia, and I thought I would start Ronaldo and give him like maybe 30 minutes at the start, 40 minutes, because like I was only looking at it at a sense that we need a boost. This team like just needed a boost. So I thought like, hey, let's go out. Maybe we can attack these guys at the get-go. Maybe we can get a couple goals and really sit this one down and get our confidence boosted. And then he can kind of go off at halftime or something, or even just before the half, and then we finish out. Just because I think we need a boost, and Dybala has been struggling, and he might just need to pick it up in training and then be that sub, kind of like he did last year until he got to the point where you couldn't bench him. You know, he became a must start. So I was just thinking, yeah, you could do that. But other than that, I mean, I was fine with what we had for a lineup. I was arguing before that I wouldn't mind see a 4-3-3, but this one intrigued me with those three guys in the middle. So we get to the game, and geez, man, I tell you, it started off decent. Like I thought we looked fairly good, like as far as ball movement and stuff. Pace 5 minutes in, Dybala slots one through to Morata, who tries to go short side and goes wide, but man, could have easily been one right in the 5 minutes there. 10th minute, Dybala takes on a couple defenders in the area, and man, 9 times out of 10, he scores that, but he's struggling. He's in a rut right now, and he misses that one, but man, 10 minutes in, and I felt pretty good because he could have had a goal and an assist. And we were moving quick. And then, I mean, 13th minute, 3 minutes later, nice little passing play through the middle. Danilo with a nice outside of the boot through ball to McKennie, making the run. And he slots it over to Morata. Morata scores, and it wouldn't be a Morata goal without some offside controversy, so we had to wait. We always got to pause when Morata scores now. There's no more celebrating goals instantly. I keep thinking back to Ronaldo when he was like, oh, you know, for this little celly, but it does pass. It goes through. It's good. One of the things that I noticed there was, McKennie was not scared to get advanced, get in there. And it was odd because Dybala was dropping back. As Dybala was dropping back, McKennie was moving forward. I don't know if this was something Pirlo wanted to do or whatever, but later on through these minutes, it did create some interesting issues defensively. So it's just, and that's what I mean is one of the things with Juve so far is like what Pirlo's trying to do with the fluidity and whatnot sometimes creates more issues trying to do it that way rather than be a little more rigid in the structure and position. But I thought it was a good start, man, that opening 15 minutes. In the 16th minute, 3 minutes after the goal, Morata and Chiesa link up, and Chiesa, I thought he was going to bury that for sure. He goes just wide. So, I mean, 16 minutes in, we could easily be 3-0 up. We aren't. We're just not clinical there. 22nd minute, Morata clear in, scores. He's offside. Of course he's offside. It's Morata. He's going to break the record for offside goals this year. Spanish Inzaghi, as my friend Graham likes to call him. 28th minute, again, Chiesa, nice cut in, shot gets blocked. But then, just a lapse. This very, very poor goal to allow Moran. 32nd minute, and this is just frustrating, very, very frustrating, because you had 3 players, you had Danilo, Bonucci, and Bentancur watching this guy with the ball. Then you had Arthur, who was coming back to the plate, and he started cheating to the guy on the ball rather than getting goal side on the eventual guy who scored the goal. It was deflected, of course. Buffon didn't stop it. But what a poor goal to allow. Just the amount of ball watching on that play was it was bad. It was pathetic, to be honest. A really, really poor goal. So we're 32nd minute. In the 43rd, McKennie almost scores on a great little play. And again, he's making that burst into the area, and Morata plays it to him, but defender makes a hell of a play to clear that thing right off McKennie's foot and slices it out of bounds there. So the half ends 1-1. And again, like, it isn't bad because you're not really fearful because it's Spezia, but it is extremely bad because we talked about those chances we had. We could have been 3 up, but there we just weren't imposing, and we didn't have a lot of sustained pressure. It was like kind of these one-off little glimpses here and there. It felt weird, but the biggest thing was how awkward the transitions into defense for us looked, and it's like we allowed them a little more than they should have. Not that they were pretty much toothless for the most part, Spezia, but this transition defensively is still seems awkward with this team. And yeah, it was a weird one. It wasn't awful, it wasn't bad by any means, but you just know this can't be it, right? It was a strange feeling at halftime. But Moran, take me through your thoughts at halftime.
Well, I'm gonna actually start by talking about the defense collapse, and conceding a goal, and then talking about something positive from the first half. So I feel like part of it is coming from that flute, not having like strict responsibilities for especially the midfielders. Part of it is that just when you're asking them just to be fluid and in the center, and then when you get counterattacks, then it gets like really risky unless you really have players that, and maybe this is something that can get better in training, with more training. But at the same time, we saw this in the Barca's game, and also like it's Spezia's players. I don't know if you noticed this, but they were surprised that they scored. So, and that goal gave him confidence, because they were like, oh, we can score. That was easy. So for them, it was like we get into these like chaotic modes often with, I don't know if it's the formation, or if it's just like this like rotation in the mid, where sometimes, like, let's say we had like McKennie, Arthur, and Bentancur, and then they were kind of like they were rotating, right? And then when it comes to the defensive responsibilities, I feel like they can just like dodge that. They can, and that's exactly what happened in the Barca's game. It was a lot more than that, because like with a couple of quick balls and through balls, like they were right in front of our goal. And so I'm really hoping that this can get better with more training, but at the same time it's really concerning. So
Yeah.
I'm also concerned. So on the positive note, Alvaro Morata, like he's on fire. If I knew that he's going to be this great, because in the beginning of the transfer market, like, not only me but everybody was like, we had our doubts about Morata. And we were talking about these like players that I would have never wanted, like around Juve, like all these like old players. He's young. I love this move. I'm so happy that he's back here in Turin and playing for Juve, and he's in a role. Like uh, it's risky to play that close to the offside line, but at the same time he delivers. Like his finishing is just class.
Yeah.
Like he chipped the goalkeeper one time. He there's no basically incident where he missed he shot and he missed the goal. Every time it's always on target. It always goes to the goal. So I get it. He's on offside many times, but at the same time, we are talking about it's a matter of just like millimeters or just like inches.
Yeah.
So it's but at the same time, I'm so thankful that he's back with us. He's playing for us. We secured him, and
Yeah, there's
if you
quite a
ask me
few.
right now, I would pay a lot just to get a player like him. He's exactly what we were looking for.
Well, yeah, that price tag's pretty high, so we'll have to wait, see how the season plays out. It started off well for him. No, there was quite a few of us who were very excited for Morata coming back when he was the name. And I know there was a lot that, were very, very skeptical, but no, he's been great. As far as players go in this first half, honestly, I didn't have really an issue with any of them out there on the pitch other than probably Dybala, and I thought Bentancur could have been a little bit better. I really liked what I was seeing out of McKennie and Morata for sure. Those two just stood out big time. Other than Bentancur and Dybala, and like I said, Dybala started off great, so I was really I thought it was very, very promising. But we saw a lot of the same that a lot of us fans can't really figure out, he's dropping back very, very deep. But then obviously McKennie was making up for it with those runs. But I just can't wrap my head around, as some Juventini were discussing post-match, we'll get to it. We start the second half, 56th minute, Ronaldo comes in for Dybala. The 58th minute, Ronaldo scores. He's on that back line. They get a pass through to Morata. Morata's able to turn, and Ronaldo plays right on the line there. Morata slots him through, and he beats the keeper and he scores 2 minutes in to his match there. And, this is what brought up the discussion, and fans were talking, well, Ronaldo plays it so much differently than Dybala. And I just can't wrap my head around if, it's an issue because he's theoretically not playing off of Morata, and he's not close to goal, which saw him do very, very well last season when he was closer to goal, and just historically with Juve when he's closer to goal. And I just can't figure out if, Pirlo's behind because he's either okay with it and accepting of it and almost letting him do his thing, or he's trying to get him to go up there and Dybala's not listening. One way or another, it's a problem. It's an issue. We've got to get the guy closer to goal. But when I watched him in this match, and people talk about his frustration, and you can read it all over his face. But again, it's just when I see him play, and I think we can all agree when what he's capable of, it looks like a guy where his legs just aren't doing what his mind, it's just not keeping up to the mind, and it's not working for him out there. And he's just, he's pissed off. He's frustrated about it, and you could read it all over his face. For me, it's just, I look at his history and I just think it's a slump. I think the discussion, to the extent that a lot of Juventini are taking it, I think that becomes the discussion if we get a little further into the season. Because I still see a guy that was out for 3 months, and got injured at the end of last, and they had no real break, and he's barely been training. All the stuff, all the other stuff in between, contracts, his attitude discussions, all that. At the end of the day, he's not the first athlete to have a slump, and he's not going to be the last. I think they just go through it. I think you just have to have a little bit of faith in the history of Dybala and what he has done for this club, because outside of 1 year, he's been fantastic, in my opinion. So I think I just look at it as a slump, but I think where people are taking it, I think it will get there if this is what we see out of him a little bit later on, with more minutes. Then I think it's a valid discussion once we get there. Right now, I just feel it's a bit premature on Dybala. And people got to remember too, Ronaldo joined us and he couldn't find a goal for a while, and there was people talking about him being washed up. Athletes, all of them go through these slumps. Some a little bit more than others, but they go through them. And then you have guys on the opposite end like Bernardeschi. That's not a slump, everybody. That's just Bernardeschi. So, I think Dybala, it was sad. It was frustrating. You could read it on his face. It's got to be better. He knows it. We'll see what happens. Ronaldo comes in, scores, and Yeah, a nice goal. 62nd minute, 4 minutes later, we see Ramsey and Rabiot come in for Bentancur and McKennie. And man, Rabiot had some hop to him. He looked good. He jumped in there, did very, very well. But well, 63rd minute, right after they come in, a set piece. Buffon put this save. He stopped the header, but luckily Spezia's player was offside because he did put it in. But yeah, some people questioning Buffon on that and putting it right back out in front of goal. That is what it is. 76th minute, and Chiesa draws a PK. Was that a PK in your opinion?
To be honest, it wasn't. It was really soft. It was a 50-50 at most.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was an extension to the foul, outside of the goal line. So I feel like the referee was super close to the scene. He gave it. It was for the Juve's fourth goal, so it wasn't a big deal. But to be honest, it was really soft.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty soft. Chiesa did very, very well getting in there. And going back to Rabiot, I got the minutes mixed up, but 67th, 5 minutes after he come on, great play. Arthur spraying the ball out to Chiesa. Chiesa popping it over the top. Rabiot with a very, very nice time run. And he takes it all the way home and beats his man and then slots it by the keeper. Really, really nice goal. I got to see more of that from Rabiot in the area, getting to goal and just attacking and getting shots off, getting those opportunities. There was a little instance there where I thought, oh no, is he gonna make a mess of this? When it looked like he poked the ball a little too far ahead of him and the D man was gonna get there, and I was like, oh no, Rabiot. But he made it work, and it was very, very nice. And then this play with Chiesa, we just talked about, 76. Yeah, it was pretty soft one, whatnot. But yeah, nonetheless, Chiesa did very well to get in that area. He worked very hard, popped the ball over a slide tackle and got in there and then drew it. Ronaldo comes in and gives his little ode to his coach, Pirlo, with a nice little Panenka PK there. And yeah, he's back. He said so in his interview right after the match. Cristiano Ronaldo's back. And then we just get a couple subs in the 78, 2 minutes later. Morata and Bonucci come off, and Kulusevski and Frabotta come in. It's 4-1. We see it out. And yeah, really, second half, a big attitude change once CR stepped on the pitch. But also, we had two targets up top in Morata and Dybala. Ronaldo naturally drew more attention, created a little bit more for Chiesa, because he also looked night and day from first half to second half, in my opinion. So, yeah, my concern is, I don't want to see a club that relies on Cristiano Ronaldo. I want to see them all gelling or whatnot. But at the same time, this win, we needed it. I'll take it any way we get it. And 4-1, yeah, that's great. There were some positives. I hope Pirlo builds off the three in the middle because it gives us more stability. I think there's still questions to be asked of our transition to the defensive phase. But there were some positives. You touched on Morata. Morata continues his hot streak. Ronaldo gets back and gets a couple goals. And the three in the middle. McKennie might be an overlooked player in terms of when we lost him to getting him back because he was obviously out with COVID. And I don't think he was getting maybe as much credit as he deserved for some of those first few performances. I think he to our midfield, in my opinion. And I get it because when players join, a lot of fans say, well, that's too premature. You're getting too hyped up. It's way too early. But I see a lot of good in McKennie. So I think that was a positive. I think Arthur did very, very well in this match. He had a couple instances and he gave up the ball a couple times and one in a very, very bad spot in our area. But all in all, it's good. I'm waiting for that little bit of more, which I think will come from him in terms of the distribution and his looks and where he progresses the ball. But I think that will come because it is better. This was better than his prior outings, in my personal opinion. Moran, your thoughts full time?
A couple of notes on Arthur. I feel like comparing what how he performed today versus his first game that I've watched for Juve, you could see the progression in him. So he was playing better. He wasn't holding on to the ball too much. But at the same time, I feel like there were times that I'm like, okay, pass. Don't hold on to it. But I could see the progression. So I really hope that Pirlo can just like mold him to like a better to the best version of himself. I feel like he has the potential. He is not injury prone. He has all the characteristics and that we would look look for in a midfield. So I'm really hopeful for Arthur. Bentancur, he is really average, unfortunately, and I'm looking at like the history. Bentancur has been with us for this is his third season with us. If not fourth, I think it's like third. And he played plenty. So at this point, I'm expecting a lot more from him. So I really want him to be. There were some flashes last season, but I really have a high expectation for him. If you're playing in the midfield for Juve, you gotta pick it up. You gotta
What are you looking for out of his game that you're not seeing? What is it in particular?
I think mainly just he makes too many just little mistakes in the defensive phase. He's not the best, and in the offensive phase he's not the sharpest either. He's like I said, he's not horrible, but at the same time he's not somebody that going to a game you're like, oh, I have like Rabiot, he's gonna pull miracles. No, he's not that type of player either. So he's lacking that goal scoring skill, or just like, I don't know. There were some games that I was really hopeful. I'm like, maybe this isn't the start of that progression that you're seeing like in Arthur. But like for now, he's too average for me. So that's why I'm seeing that progression. I'm seeing that like in Rabiot, and I'm like, maybe he's the guy because he has the physics for it. So his physics and his pace, and I can see that his every game he plays better, except for the last game, not this game, but the previous game that he was horrible. Rabiot was just like really bad. But and then, well, who else do we have? We have McKennie, and does he have enough experience to play in the starting lineup for like a team? Again, in Juve's caliber, that's another thing. And then we have Ramsey, and we all want Ramsey to play because he's probably out of all our midfielders, he's the most reliable if fit, right? He can do everything, but at the same time, he wasn't playing today, and then there were some rumors that he wasn't fit. But at the same time, fitness is part of it. So he's not somebody that we can count on, day in and day out. And it's unfortunate, but at the same time, I feel like we were just a man short in our midfield. I was really hoping that we had like another midfielder, somebody, like, to be honest, somebody who can actually lead the midline for us. Somebody with those characteristics. I still think that we're missing that person. I'm hoping that either Rabiot or Arthur, take that leap and be that guy. But for now, we just don't have that leader in the midfield.
And not only like just a leader in the midfield, but what I saw that I liked in the way, Rabiot's approach was the second he stepped on, and McKennie while he was on the pitch, was what I asked for after the last match. I want to see midfielders driving the play, going up and
Exactly.
drawing extra attention so that they could find our forwards and create a little more space for them. And I thought we did a fantastic job of that for the most part in this match. And we started to see things that we saw at the start, the first couple matches through Pirlo, that faded. And whether it was the trequartista thing or the fact that he was backing off the press somewhat, but we stopped seeing the support out of the middle. And in this match, we started to get it again, and it worked well. We are a work in progress. So the consistency thing and finding the rhythm throughout matches is still, it's not going to be where we need it to be, and we get that. But I got to see that. I got to see somebody in the middle that can do that effectively, that can jump in the plays and assist and, to set up a goal, take a shot on goal. Like, they got to get involved in the play, because if we leave it up to our forwards, they just get isolated, and it's not enough, right? It's too easy to defend, and we become predictable, which is what we saw against Barca. Far too predictable, no press, and lack of stability in the middle with the two guys, and it was tough. It's tough to watch, right? So I think we need to build off that. But Bentancur, it's tough. It's tough on that one. He's kind of in one of those things where he's shown what he can do. He just hasn't shown it enough and as often as you'd like to see. And, you're at that point where you're waiting for that jump, and you're just not getting it. And it's not even that you need a jump necessarily. I think I'd be happy if I saw that same drive and attitude out of him that you get in those games where he's really strong, where he's using his energy, his legs, and he's breaking up plays, but he's also driving to the area and he's finding these little passes to our forwards, or either taking the shot on goal, like having shots. Like, when he's in that mode, he's fantastic. And to be honest, I've never been able to figure out. I always thought it was system, until I saw him now with Pirlo's two-man pivot still struggle. But for Uruguay, he is not the same player that Juve has been getting. He's actually quite impressive for his national squad. And for Juve, he is impressive occasionally. There's moments where he gets the ball and, when he's in the zone, his first look is always ahead, and he'll switch field and he'll move the ball around. He'll make the right progression. And then there's matches where he seems uninterested in looking for that, and he's looking for someone else to just take it from him, right? Yeah, it's I would love for Bentancur to just get that consistency going, and I think he'd be a great midfielder. I think he's 22 years old.
He might be older than that.
I believe he's
24.
Is he 24? I thought he was 22. But I mean, he's still young. He's got a few years till he gets to his prime years there. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of waiting for that as well. But continue on with your post-match thoughts here, Moran.
Sure. So basically, and talking about Ronaldo, I know we've seen a lot of tweets about this. Like, seeing Juve relying on Ronaldo to win versus Spezia, that's concerning a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and I think when Ronaldo came on, he had that leadership. He was like, and it's always with him. When he's on the pitch, you can't lose with Ronaldo. It's just like he has that like mentality. When he's losing, he's just pissed. And I feel like I'm hoping that this transfers to everybody, where we've seen this. Juve is just like playing just uninterested, all players. And then the last 20 minutes, they're like, oh, maybe we do something. They just think about picking up at the last 20 minutes, and that's there's always not enough time. But with Ronaldo, I think like from the first second, he just has that drive. So, and I'm really hoping before he retires or before he moves on, he can kind of like teach some of these like youngsters this mentality. Like we have a lot of youngsters that are gonna play for Juve for like let's say next at least like 5 6 years, and I'm really hoping that I don't think Ronaldo is going to be around at that time, but I'm really hoping that they learn this like leadership and just mentality, superior mentality from him. So that's good. Um, and also, I feel like when Pirlo made the two changes, like he took out like Bonucci and Morata, when we got like 4-1 up. I think that tells me that these are the two key players that he's really counting on. So if God forbid like Morata is injured, we're back to square one. Who are you going to play over there? You're going to go and either have Dybala plays there. He's in a slump right now, and then I'm really hoping that he stays like really healthy. But you can see that he is a key player. That number 9, Pirlo is really counting on him. At the same time, Bonucci. Why did he take Bonucci out? Just because he's the only defender, other than Chiellini, of course. But Chiellini, we cannot really count on like his health this season. But let's say out of all the healthy options that we have in the defense, Bonucci is the only one who played in the back three before, so he has that experience. Like I'm sure even when De Ligt is back, and I'm asking all the Juventini just to adjust their expectation. And we all know how great De Ligt is, but playing in this new system can be problematic because De Ligt, I don't think he played in a 3-man defense before. I think Ajax was playing with a 4-man defense. Demiral, I know he has like other issues too. His playing with the ball quality is definitely needs like improvement. But at the same time, he hasn't played in that like 3-man defense formation. So Bonucci, he's not the best defensively, but at the same time, he has that experience. I know I'm not his biggest fan, but at the same time, I feel like he's a must start just because of the experience in that position.
Well, we're gonna get into this. We got actually some of these segments here, and one of them is it's clear as day. This team is struggling in the transition to the defensive phase. Now, the question I brought up is, when De Ligt returns, will it cure our defensive vulnerability, or is it an issue of the system? And I asked Juventini, and there was a lot of back and forth from the Juventini here, where many feel absolutely once De Ligt returns, we won't be so vulnerable in the defensive aspect, especially when Chiellini's back as well. And you have others that say, no, there's far more to it than just bringing De Ligt back. And it is the system and the structure. And I want to get your take on this. I want to see, do you think, what changes when De Ligt comes back? Who are your go-to? Say it's in the same setup, your 3 backs. And is that going to cure it? Or is it, in fact, Pirlo's system and using the 4-4-2 base out of a 3-4-1-2, 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it, base attacking and making that switch? Because I got to say, I did notice when Kulusevski plays for us, and I also noticed it a lot with Dybala today, and I've noticed it with Morata and whatnot. they spend an awful amount of energy trying to get where they need to be to set up that base, because they're moving around and Pirlo wants his fluidity offensively, and it's not rigid offensively, but then in the defensive phase, they're supposed to be. So then all of a sudden, it's like this strange scramble to get back and to get into position. And I saw at one point Dybala just, he was running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and I'm just thinking, man, there has to be a more efficient way. And it's not just him. You touched on it earlier. It looks like the responsibilities are unclear, right? And it just looks a little bit of a mess. So, Moran, like your thoughts on De Ligt's return, and what does it do to the defensive side of things?
Absolutely. I think things are going to get better for sure. He is a lot better with the ball at his feet than, let's comparing to, let's say, somebody like Demiral. Demiral, like defensively, he's solid. He's good. He's a little bit like careless, can be careless sometimes, but at the same time, I think he has that grinta. We can rely on him like defensively, but at the same time, he doesn't have a good quality playing with the ball, just like passing. His play forward needs a lot of improvement. So that's also, especially with this system that Pirlo is asking. That's something that's why he's playing like Danilo in the defense, because he's demanding a defender that can be really good with the ball at his feet. That's what Pirlo's system demands. And then with Demiral, he covers. So first of all, he has to play in this system where you gotta have to be part of this like offensive game. But at the same time, you have to cover for somebody like Bonucci. So he's trying so hard, but at the same time, he needs more training, and he needs maybe just like more playing time just to get better. With De Ligt, I think he has that quality. So when he's back, I feel like our offensive gameplay is going to be a lot smoother. And at the same time, De Ligt has this leadership characteristic that I love about him, where when it comes to responsibility, he's the guy. He's like, I'm responsible for the defense, so it's gonna get better. But at the same time, my only concern is that he hasn't played in this system before, so I'm adjusting my expectation. So if the first few games that De Ligt is playing in this system can be bad, but at the same time, I think in the long run, when he's back, we can really rely on him, and he showed us that he's solid. With Chiellini, definitely, if Chiellini was playing in this defense, we know that he has everything, right? But at the same time, I don't think we can really rely on him for more than half of the games this season just because of his fitness. So definitely with personnel, this can get better. At the same time, maybe we can figure something out in the midfield, because there's two issues, that responsibility issue that we talked about in the midfield, but at the same time, this whole playing from the back and playing offensively from the back line is another thing. And these two are both like against what we are talking about. And if any of them doesn't work out, it's gonna create a counterattack that can be vital. So definitely, it's with the Ligt's return. I feel like I'm hoping it gets better, but at the same time, the first few games, this is a new system, so we gotta give him his fair opportunity.
I think it'll get better, no question, just because of him. But I agree with you. There's going to be a little bit of a period of grace that we should allow, not only because of the system, but just simply because of the fact he's been out for a while. So it's just natural. He's going to have to get back to game speed and stuff. And we know he is training now. We're just simply waiting for the doctor's okay, which is great. But yeah, I'm in the same as you. We got to be patient with it. But I have my doubts with the system. If Pirlo can build traction with a three-man midfield, I think it helps the stability, but there's still far too many breakdowns that we see in coverage. I mean, we should never be talking about a goal that we allowed to a newly promoted side that had four of our players essentially watching one. We shouldn't be talking about things like that. So the continuous drops in coverage and responsibilities and duties is concerning, and it's also the midfield that's a part of this too in this defending phase. So that's why I think that there's bigger issues as a unit. But I do think De Ligt will help you tremendously in these 1v1 scenarios or tightening up the space. It's one thing I noticed is they back off quite a bit. Demiral, not as much, but Bonucci and Danilo back off quite a bit. Danilo's been great though. Let's be honest. Nobody expected that when we were at the start of the season and it was mentioned he was going to be one of the center backs. I think everybody was getting their
worried.
But he's been great. He's been steady. But this is one thing that we just notice is it's not consistent with the line behind our mids. And when they keep it high or when they drop too far back, it's like they're just not in sync, right? And that's why I talk about the system, and I'm hoping that it comes and they get it together. But I think Pirlo got it right in terms of a three-man middle, and I hope he saw that today, and we can build off that at least. Getting Chiellini back, yeah, I mean, Chiellini's great when he's healthy, but the health is the biggest question now. It seems like he's at the point now where he'll play a match and then he's out for 3 weeks, sometimes longer, right? Which is unfortunate because we know what he brings to the table, but at this point, he's unfortunately in the same zone that Ramsey is, where it just can't be relied upon, which is a shame. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens when De Ligt return. A question I love asking you, Ventini, right now. Everybody healthy, same setup. You got to pick 3 center backs. Who do you go with, Moran?
I definitely would want to see De Ligt in that 3-man defense, but at the same time, I'm really hoping that he fits in the system and he gets it and he can do that. But if looking at like his last season performance, or also like I'm his biggest fan, so I really want to give him like the starting spot. And then there's Bonucci. You have to play him because of those playing with the ball qualities, and then also the experience, and also the health. So Bonucci, knock on wood, he's a really reliable player when it comes to the health, to his health. So he's always healthy. I knocked on wood, Juventini. I'm not gonna jinx him, but he's really reliable. So I would say those two are locked. And then we basically have Danilo, and he's been playing solid. So I think it's those 3. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Chiellini is healthy, if Pirlo goes with Chiellini, Bonucci, and Demiral, just because Chiellini and Bonucci played with each other for years, and at the same time they played in this 3-man defense system before. So if everybody's healthy, if I'm Pirlo, I'm questioning. Okay, should I go with the experience? I wouldn't be surprised if he benched both De Ligt and Demiral.
For mine, if everybody was healthy, I think I'd honestly go De Ligt, Chiellini, and Danilo. I would have that three. And the only reason I am at a point now with Bonucci where it's just far too poor lately defensively, and that's his first duty. And I get the ball playing aspect of it, but man, if Arthur is going to be that guy that drops back that deep and starts to control that, it's not going to be as crucial. And if the ball playing ability is kind of not so crucial, it's going to be hard to start him when he's, getting beat so easily quite often too, right? So Bonucci's got to step it up defensively to maintain that, because there's going to be a point where that ball playing ability is just going to stop being a reason to have him there, right? And it obviously it'll depend on De Ligt's how he can adapt. De Ligt can adapt to the system. Chiellini will always have a question mark now just because of his health, but Danilo, I think, is locked in there, man. Crazy to say, but I think he's locked himself in there. He's done well. So yeah, let's talk about Cuadrado. Juan Cuadrado ended up getting the captain's armband today after subs were made.
It was shocking.
And I made a bit of a joke there, and just people took it and ran with it because Cuadrado's got a ton of protection out there, apparently. But I think, is it just harsh criticism, or is it justified for Cuadrado? Because I feel like I get very, very frustrated in a lot of his play. But I think like he gets these moments, and as of late, he's sending good through balls that Morata's trying to latch onto, and everybody's just taking these, and it seems like everything else, we just have the blinders on to letting balls run back post. And then like Spezia almost latched onto one today that almost went in the back of the net because he just let it go through. And this is the same mistake he was making last year at this position. And it frustrates me. And I make a comment or I make a post, and then I'm just getting attacked. Like, why would you attack Cuadrado? He's fantastic. He does everything. And I'm like, whoa. He's fantastic? Okay, this is how I see Cuadrado. He's a utility guy. He's not your plan A. That's just how I see Cuadrado. It's very much appreciated that he could fill in multiple roles. But if he's filling in that role, I'm going to measure him to what that position entails. And he's in a position where the defensive aspect of it cannot be masked strictly by the offensive aspect of it. We saw it with João Cancelo. He got crucified. The guy was fantastic offensively, but he got crucified for his defensive game. Okay, Sandro is his opposite. He gets praised for his defensive work. He gets put to the sword offensively because there's no support there. So I see it as being consistent with Cuadrado and measuring up to what that position entails. And he's been playing there for a whole season, but he's making the same mistakes defensively, and it's frustrating. And, and I even said on another podcast that sometimes offensively we're just stuck because there's no progression. There's nothing for Cuadrado to do. It's just like it gets to him and the play's dead because there's not enough options. I think what will help is that three-man middle, because we're getting our guys too far and there's too much gaps when we get it to one of the flanks to then look inside. And Cuadrado literally has nothing done backwards or pumping it down the line. And usually he chooses to hold it and take a foul, which he's good at. But I can't see us overlooking criticism strictly because of the fact it's appreciated that he's playing out of position, but he's still going to be judged accordingly for what the position needs. That's just how I see it. And I don't see it as being harsh or anything to him like a lot of fans are making it out to be. And I want to get your opinion on Juan Cuadrado and just see how you feel, Moran.
I think, you know, I was gonna say, Alberto, you gotta buckle up because with Cuadrado, we don't even have any alternative. Like literally, if God forbid he gets injured, who are you? Danilo is our first option. He's in everybody's like 3-man defense. He's gonna play over there. So
But Moran, but this is the thing though. I'm not talking about options. I'm just talking about how he plays that position. So
exactly.
when he gets criticized for something that he's doing in that position, it's not a defense to say, "Oh, well, he's playing out of position." Okay, that's great, but he's been playing out of position for a season already, and now he's there again, but he's making the same mistakes. There's no growth there. Regardless of what the options are, he's still getting judged for the job he's doing there, right? For the most part this year, it's been good. Hasn't been an issue, but he has a lot of moments still, a lot of moments where I could see frustration, and there's a lot of fans that are frustrated with Cuadrado. There's a lot of fans that don't think a guy like that should be part of Juve's squad, and I call it for what it is. He is a utility player. He should not be a plan A, but that's a different discussion. That's a judgment for the team, for the management. But, we start talking about this and you start talking about putting players, what's something that Pirlo spoke of a lot prior to the season kicking off. You make formations. I don't have a set formation. I make them to the players I have. I have certain ones I prefer, but ultimately you make it to the players you have. And I don't know, what would the option be? Maybe we go to a 4-man backfield, man. And we don't do that. And you've got Frabota, who's a true left back. And then Danilo, luckily it's worked out with him at that position, but he's also playing out of position. It's been great, but does that last? Does it work? And there's still some glimpses here and there, but for the most part, he's been steady. He's been great, but he's been out of position too. So you go to a 4-man backfield. You got Frabota on the left. Sandro will be back eventually. Knock on wood. Sandro will be back eventually. You got your left backs. You got Danilo with Quad changing it out on right back, and Quad can still go and assist on the forward side of things if we go to a 4-3-3. And it might help guys like Kulusevski or Chiesa, because Chiesa doesn't look too bad out of that left wing back. But again, there are some issues due to more of the requirements of that position, right? In other phases that come up. Kulusevski, I feel, hasn't found a home in the setup as well. And yeah, but I get what you're saying. There's no other options outside of Cuadrado, but that doesn't change us talking about his performances. It doesn't mean that we put the blinders on, right? And that's all I'm saying.
No, I'm not saying that. And he God knows he can be really, his playing can be really frustrating. He's not a defender. These issues that we've seen today, this is not the first time. He's clueless defensively. He can be average just playing forward, but defensively, he's just a liability. Playing him at the right back for a team like Juve as the first option is suicidal. I get it. That guy who was playing for Barcelona, the kid, Pedri. So he was just doing anything he wanted just because Cuadrado playing defensively doesn't have that quality, and unfortunately I know I was watching your podcast, and we've been just chatting on Twitter about our transfer market. We could have easily got. I wasn't expecting a top class right back, but just like a decent right back, and we could have had that as a, I don't know, loan option, even not even buying, but just like get a player on loan that can be like a decent right back. That way you can play Cuadrado in the right wing, so he can, you know, he can come off the bench and he can be that utility player that you were talking about. He's that utility player, not in starting right back for a team like Juve. You're absolutely right, and this can, we can really pay for this if we, you know, keep doing this. And at the same time, guess what? We don't have any backup for him, and his performance at the right back is going to get worse every game by game because you know he's going to tank. He's playing all these games, and you know fullback position is not a joke. Like
Yeah.
that's there's a lot over there. They have to run the hell. So that position, you gotta have to have like a reliable backup where you can rotate. Otherwise, you're just like screwed. And with Cuadrado, playing him at a right back when he's fresh, it's good. That's a gamble you take, and you know he can be decent, but down the road, this would be suicidal.
Yeah. Well, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, but these are all, you know, these are all things management needs to own up to or take fault for, right? And we've seen this scenario before. It was just last season, for God's sakes, Sandro had no backup, no coverage, right? So we keep doing this, right? We keep doing this to ourselves, and it's frustrating to see. And it's not like using that to defend him when someone's just criticizing his game. Okay, that's more of a knock on the team and the Mercado and what they've done and whatnot. But to use it as a defense of Cuadrado, I mean, ultimately, if he's going to be there, he's got to do it. I'm going to rate him the same as any other player that's playing that position. I'm going to judge you on the duties that position entails and how you go about your business and how you do it. That's all. That's the only way I see it. But people are taking it to like a level of calling for agendas and stuff like that. Guys, I got way bigger fish to fry and things in my life than to have an agenda for Juan Cuadrado. Just letting you know that, okay? There's no agenda against Juan Cuadrado. And honestly, really, I've said this so much, and it frustrates me too, because if people just saw comments or posts or tweets and think I have agendas, if you followed the podcast enough, you will know I've never held back from any player calling them out if they've had a stinker. Like, that's just, it is. I've called out Dybala when he's been bad. I've said this past stretch, he's off. It's just my only thing is I see it as a slump. That's it. Ronaldo, I've said when Ronaldo's just not up to it, and there was a section of matches where Sarri took him off, and I actually thought he did the right thing in those instances. I don't hold back. I don't care who the name is. There's no agendas. It's just opinions. And by all means, you don't have to agree with me. I don't care. It's fine. I actually love it when people don't agree with me, because those are the best discussions. The best discussion. Absolutely. So take it easy and pump the brakes, everybody, on Juan Cuadrado. Pump the brakes. Okay? He's going to be judged accordingly. All right. Now, what formation? Since we talked about this a bit with Cuadrado and Danilo and options, in your personal opinion, Miran, is what Pirlo's doing the best for the players we have? Or how would you see us line up? Or what is something that intrigues you that you would like to see lineup-wise?
To be honest, I'm going to start with the front line, because I feel like we either have to play basically 1-2, or like a three-quartista and two striker, or two like left winger, right winger, and a 9. So and a forward. So I think that is absolutely no brainer. And when we go back to the midfield, we always need to have like three men deep midfield. So I don't think that uh, this ever worked out to play just for Juve to play only like two midfielders. That's not gonna cut it. We need like at least like three in the middle. So if you're playing with the back four, it would be like 4-3-2-1 or 4-3-3. So that's as far as like the midfield line and the front line goes. And when we go back to like playing with the three-man defense or four, I think that can be fluid. To be honest, I have more trust in like four-man defense, especially with looking at the personnel and knowing that we don't even have a backup for Cuadrado. It's just it would make more sense just to play with like four-man defense. So it would be basically my ideal scenario would be either 4-3-3 or 4-3-1-2. So 4-3-1-2 or 4-3-3, and that basically it really depends on if we have the personnel to play in that like trequartista role. If we don't have that, let's say that Ramsey is injured for some reason, Dybala is having a slump, then just like get rid of that position. Or like we're talking about putting like Kulusevski in the hole, playing that trequartista role. We don't know. Like he never played in that position for Juve. But if we have the personnel to play in that position, we can play it. If not, just like forcing like I don't know Dybala to play over there or somebody else to play over there. I think we got to stop that tinkering thing at one point. So if that's the case, then we got to go. We have like a lot of wingers, and all of them are right wingers. But like Ronaldo on the left side and the left wing is like a lock. So that's locked. And then we have basically Chiesa, Kulusevski, and also Cuadrado that can play as a right wing. And then we have Morata that can play that, that center forward or the striker position. And Dybala can also be started, but he has to kind of like earn that spot. For now, based on the performance, Morata is the lock in that position, and then Dybala can find a spot. So he can be rotated with Morata in up top. But at the back line, talking about the formation, I trust the four-man defense, especially when De Ligt is back. I feel like if we switch back to what these players are used to, let's say, as long as De Ligt is playing, I don't think there is much difference between like Bonucci or Demiral or Chiellini. Any of them can play with De Ligt, and then, like I said, hopefully we can play Danilo as a right back, and Sandro, hopefully he's back and he can play as a left back. So I think that's a solid back line, four-man back line, and then Sandro can also be like another Danilo, where like in transition, we can play with a three-man back line, and talking about Sandro's defensive quality, I think Pirlo can basically leverage that. We're thinking like Danilo has that quality. I think if Sandro's back, I'm not his biggest fan. But I think when he's back, he can help. We were talking about De Ligt's return, but I feel like Sandro's return is gonna help Pirlo even more.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends if Sandro can regain his form. But this was the formation that he did do his best damage for us. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know. For me, I think I still say 4-3-3. We should try it. We should go to it. I agree with you. There are times, given the personnel, it could become a 4-3-1-2. But I think that secures Ronaldo because he can either play the left in a three-man front, and he could play as one of those two up top as well. So he's going to be a lock in your lineup. Morata would be able to play as one of the two up top, or obviously the center, the true nine in the 4-3-3. I think Dybala, once he gets up to it, and once he's where he needs to be, I think he could honestly play that roaming style the way he did under Sarri last year, still forward advanced enough, but more freedom, especially with Morata and Ronaldo. If Higuain, Ronaldo, and Dybala was great for a while, I see no reason why these three can't do a hell of a lot of damage together. But obviously right now, Dybala is just not up to it. You talked about it right now. You wanted to discuss like who plays in a crucial match for forwards. You know, what do you do? The thing is, if it were tomorrow, you know, and it was this setup, it's Morata and Ronaldo, no doubt, 100%, easy. It's easy, you know. And then you've got your midfielders, and then you got your wing backs and your D in this setup. It's just, you can't deny guys when they're on and they're performing. Like, that's just the way it should be. This is what Juve's needed for a while. They've needed competition at spots. You shouldn't just get a role because of your name, you know. And when it comes to our forwards, right now we're only playing with the two spots, so it's pretty damn easy, and it should be clear it's Ronaldo and Morata. You know, if you do a 3-man front, then it changes, and then you've got some questions to be asked. You know, like for me, I think Kulusevski, I have my doubts about him as a winger or even up advanced too far. I think he's going to be good with space ahead of him where he can run at people and run at defenders. And I've actually thought to myself, I could easily see him, if we run a 3-man middle, being one of those guys that makes the advancements out of the middle. I think he's got the profile for it. He's very good technically. He just struggles when players are on his back. And when you're playing up top like that, that's a lot of your time spent is with the player right on your back. So I think if we put him in that scenario, and just even when you started to watch after he was linked with Parma, a lot of his best clips, he was working right out of the heart of their midfield and bringing it out and getting out of these tight areas and then leading the charge offensively, right? And I think he could potentially do some damage there. I think he could be good as the trequartista in behind there, but these are things we just got to find out. But in a match tomorrow, it feels crucial. Morata and Ronaldo easily, you know. What are your thoughts there, Moran?
I 100% agree with you. So for me, it's kind of like the same thing. Like if Dybala has to earn his spot, that's good. We have competition. We're talking about not having any competition in the fullback positions. But up top, we have you know, competition over there. This is great. So for now, based on today's form, Morata and Ronaldo are locked to play up there. And then we've seen that, you know, Dybala can suffer playing as a, you know, too far away from the goal or as like a, you know, wide winger. That's not his position. But you were right. Pirlo can, or they can figure something out. The three of them, Morata, Dybala, and Ronaldo. If it worked out, just like you said, if it worked out with Higuain, so they're
well, yeah. I like Morata is, man, night and day from what we were getting at that position last season, and I can't see why it wouldn't work with three of them. Like it would. It's just, of course, it's clear as day when you watch Dybala right now. He is not himself. He's got to get up to where he needs to be. But I think there could potentially be something pretty damn special, you know, if he can get back to where he was last season. I think the three of them could go on a hell of a rampage together, and I think it'd be some of the best football we'd seen for a while out of the top. But time will tell, right? Now, in keeping it with our forwards, I asked the question today. It was a landslide, Moran. A friggin' landslide. Like 86% yes. Okay? If it was up to you, do you extend Cristiano Ronaldo's contract if you're Juventus? And I know that fans were bringing up a lot of things. Well, maybe Ronaldo doesn't want to stay. hypothetically, Ronaldo would like to stay with Juventus. Do you extend his contract?
To be honest, I didn't know that you're gonna ask this question, so, and I don't know there was like you told me the result, but I don't know if the 86% said that we should extend it or not.
Oh, sorry, 86% said yes, they would extend his contract.
To be honest, for me, it's a pass. I don't know why.
Highly unpopular opinion, and you know what, Moran? I can you can look at this both ways, and this is why it's interesting when people get so fired up over their opinions, right? Because I can see this one from both sides, and it's not an easy one. It's Cristiano friggin' Ronaldo, okay? You've got a guy like Zlatan who's doing things at 39, going on 40, and I also would think if Zlatan can do it, Cristiano Ronaldo would be able to, no doubt, right? But long term for Juve, financially, that money, man, I could see it. I could just we have holes to fill in the roster, right? And it's this ongoing battle Juventini can sometimes get into their minds about over this deal and looking back. And I still say, you take that every chance, every day. We signed him for 100 million. I mean, at the time, we didn't see what we see now. We couldn't have foreseen the issues we were going to get into contractually with all these other guys. And we thought we were a hell of a lot closer. Maybe that was because our coach overachieved with the guys we had, and maybe we had this belief in our team that we were, this close from Champions League. Ronaldo's going to put us over the top. And what it ended up doing was actually exposing ourselves in signing him and figuring out what our shortcomings were. Right? This is a hard one. This is not an easy one. I mean,
what did you vote? What was your?
Man, I honestly, just because, and again, this is just preference, and how it seems crazy when you even say it and you think about it, but I would say no. I would say no because, again, it's just we've never been that side to go out and get these Galacticos, and have that. We've always had solid squads, clubs, complete, and doing that. And that's how it was back in the day. We had complete squads, man. You had guys that could come in off the bench and you had 100% faith in them. You're like, yeah, this guy's got it. No problem. But we stretched ourselves out. We stretched ourselves out big time. And I know everybody can get into the marketing side of things and, all the social media gains and viewerships and stuff like that. But on the pitch, it presents an issue for us filling out the roster. It just, that's the way it is.
We got that. So here's the thing. Out of Ronaldo's, I know when we're talking about players' salaries, we always talk about net salary. So with Ronaldo, we always say 30 million, but it's actually 60 million that we were paying a year. So that's 60 million gross salary that we're paying for Ronaldo. I'm asking you, what percentage of that do you think it's related to marketing, and what percentage is just for performance, or just performance on the pitch?
Oh man, I have no idea percentage wise.
I think it's probably 50%, because basically, let's say Ronaldo plays next season for Juve, right? That would be total of 4 years, and he really raised our social media profile and us getting viewed in the US and all that stuff. So we got all that, but just extending him, what are we gonna get? I think Juve is his social media accounts and followers are just growing, but there is a max to that. So once you're there, just like Real Madrid, what they did with Ronaldo, they got all these fans and everything, and then they sold Ronaldo to us, and now we are just like we are raising that social media followers and all that stuff. We're basically getting that. But then I feel like 4 years is enough just to have that such a huge burden that we cannot even, why we can't get it right back, or why we can't get like these players that we talked about in the transfer market. Well, the main reason is because we are playing Ronaldo's salary. So we can't fulfill all these like positions or have like a decent backup for many of the positions just because of the burden that Ronaldo's salary has on the team and on the club. So I think if you ask me, I would say pass. I would say no. But I know I'm in the minority. But I feel like after 4 years, let's say he plays another like his last year at Juve, and hopefully it's not like a bad ending. He's just, okay. I played all my contract for Juve, and he looks elsewhere for another opportunity. Where with Real Madrid it was bad just because the way he left his it was kind of like disrespectful to him. So there were some fans that were like, I'm not gonna follow like Real Madrid, even though that was just, I would say less than 5%, but still it was a bad ending. But I'm hoping if with Ronaldo he understands that Juve is like it's financially it's a lot to ask a club just to afford somebody like Ronaldo for more than like 4 years. I think even 4 years, like paying 60 million just in salaries. Because for players, I know we were talking about net. Ronaldo is net income, net salary is 30, but for club is actually 60 million.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. So for me, I would say no.
Yeah, I mean, after 4 years, and I mean, also just in staying true to the project, if they truly believe in it, and this kind of younger thing, and building them up and getting them together and gelling. I mean, it contradicts that too, because we're not in win now mode anymore. We thought we were there when Ronaldo first came. We realized we were actually further away. It exposed us in a sense, and I don't see it beyond the 40 years. Like, unless something crazy happens this year and all of a sudden this team starts going, just going nuts all of a sudden, and we're like, oh wow, but we still have them for another year. That's the thing. So it's like, even if all of a sudden this team takes off and this project builds or whatnot, I mean, 4 years at that wage, it's still a lot. And you factor in the deficit that we're in right now, right? Like we got to get the books going in the right direction quite a bit to make up for it. And I don't know. It's a hard one, because this guy gives you so much. You can't say enough about the guy. He's an absolute freak. Nobody's ever doubting that, and people have to understand that. It's not knocking him. It's
no, not at all.
It's where we are as a club, and are we able to do this and not hurt ourselves even more or even further, right? And have a bigger gap come the end of Ronaldo's tenure with us, right? Because it's already kind of there, we already kind of suffered a bit in terms of filling the roster out. And again, it's not a knock to him. It's just where we stand as a club. And then you factor COVID into it, and revenues are already, down anyways. It's tough. It's a tough one for me to just say yes, but I know, and I read a lot of the answers, and it's just yes, because he's our best shot at Champions League and all this. And I get it. I just, long term for this club, financially and everything, I can't see it. I honestly can't see it. It's a tough one though. It is a tough one, and I'm sure, because anytime Ronaldo's involved, we get a ton of comments, and I'm sure we're going to get him in this video, and that's fine. That's great. I love hearing what people think, and like I said, I don't think this is a clear cut. You can easily argue for both ways on this one. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. But I'm kind of leaning more towards with you, Moran, and I think for me it would be after his 4 years, it would be a pass. Last but definitely not least, we not only beat one of the 3 teams Juventus has never beat in Italy. We won 4-1. The same scoreline Moran was previously on the All Juve cast with. It was Juventus' 123rd birthday. And it's hard to put in words what this club means to me, myself personally. I mean, I see it as just like all I can relate to Juve is family. Just with the family members I have that are Juventini, and especially my dad, who essentially brought me into it. And it's incredible. I saw the highlights they posted of the final penalty shot in the '96 Champions League final. The last time, obviously, Juve had won it. And I got the memories of my dad celebrating it. And at that point, I wasn't nowhere near that's really where it started to take off. But I was nowhere near where I'm at now as far as the fandom's concerned. But I thought I still get chills watching that video and thinking about that memory. And man, for me, I would do just about anything to see this team do that again with my dad. Like, I would just win the Champions League, but be able to see it with my dad again would be unbelievable. But on the club's 123rd birthday, Moran, I want to ask you a couple questions, and shout out to Cami, who actually put this out there, and it was a great tweet asking people questions, Juventini certain questions. And I'm going to ask you them right now. Just go with whatever's the top of your mind. Last time I think I did this, we got a little depressing because you were drinking whiskey, but I think you got
I know. So today I'm just like drinking beer.
There you go.
For the exact same reason.
So we should be good. That's amazing. That's amazing. So the first one is going to be your favorite player.
Current or all time?
All time.
Del Piero. Hands down. Like, there's nobody even close to him.
That was mine as well. Your favorite manager?
Lippi.
Mine as well. Your favorite match?
The match in 2003 versus Real Madrid in semifinal.
Holy smokes, that was mine as well. Your
favorite that match was just pure glory. Like the goals, that like the whole like.
Your favorite moment?
I would say that Del Piero's goal in that match. That was just like my favorite moment. Like, it was just.
Because the last question is your all-time favorite goal. And I'm kind of with you because I struggled because I could have put everything for that match because it just stood out to me. So when favorite goals, I could have picked Del Piero's or Nedved's, and then Nedved's classic celebration, jumping over, kneeling down in front of the curva. But for goals, I just picked one that always stood out to me because of the celebration and just who it was against and everything. But Del Piero had scored in the 05-06 season a free kick in like the late 80th minute, and just buries this thing in the corner, flat foots their keeper. And I love the kit, and he was running. He had long hair at the time with the sideburns, and I just remember putting his arms out, sticking the tongue out, and it looked like the jersey was actually a flag, like just like waving in the wind. I thought that is it's just sticks in my brain, and I love that goal. I lost it. There's so many goals to choose from, but I chose that for the sake of being a little bit different from that game, because that Real Madrid game for me as well was just huge.
I don't know about you, but just like when Del Piero was playing for Juve, I swear to God, I was so obsessed and in love with just like watching him, my my favorite like player playing. Every goal he scored was special to me. It was just like it would give me so much joy. First, like it's great. Just like every time I see like Ronaldo scores, it's great, or like somebody else. But if I unfortunately I don't get that same experience.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I was just like so obsessed with Del Piero, with that player that I, like every single goal, I was just like literally, I was rooting for two things. I was rooting for Juve, and also I was rooting for like Del Piero. So when these were kind of like synced, it was like bam, it was huge. So
Yeah. No, I feel that, man. I feel that a lot. I feel in today's sports in general, it's a lot harder to get that attached to players as you were back in the day, right? It seemed like you would get those guys more often than not that would lock in for your club, right? And stay around. Now, honestly, it's turned into a business, and I wouldn't be surprised if anybody goes any given moment, right? And it makes things for a jersey collector very, very challenging because you can buy a jersey and that guy could be gone immediately, and then you're like, ah,
yeah,
great, you know. But
exactly.
but yeah, I don't know. Maybe we do it like you and start getting the legends on the new kits, you know, because I think you got
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So that's exactly what I do. So for the 2000, was it like the 2017 where we had the I think it was like first the second year of having like Adidas jerseys, where it's like a button down like
yeah.
jersey.
That was
That was
17, 18.
17, 18. It was so beautiful. I was so obsessed with that jersey. I'm like I'm gonna get like a just like a vintage Del Piero number, and I got like number 10 Del Piero on that jersey. With this one, to be honest, I really like this jersey, and I for all the Juventini, this is a gift from Alberto and basically all Juve cats, and shout out to the Striped Heart. I got like a Striped Heart T-shirt, and there was basically this raffle when you were just like giving away a jersey, and I remember I was just like I retweeted that and all that stuff, and then you were just like doing the
Live,
announcement like
yeah.
live, but I was so hopeless that I wasn't even like watching that. I remember I was like in Costco and I like just shopping, and I saw my phone. And I was just like, oh, shout out to like Miran, he won this like jersey, and I'm like, I was so shocked. It was great. But to be honest, like the weekend before that, because you did the raffle on Friday, I think, right?
Yeah, it was a
Uh,
Friday night.
it was like the weekend before that. I was at home and I was just like thinking about it. So I'm like, well, what if I win this? And I'm like, okay, maybe I write it down. So I on my notebook I wrote down that this Friday I'm going to win the jersey. I'm going to be the winner. That my name is going to come out of the raffle, and that's why when I saw that like I was the winner, I was like, oh my god, what's
That's
happening?
crazy.
It was crazy. I still have like the note that I wrote like on my notebook. It's like a
That's
workbook.
amazing.
But
That's
actually,
amazing.
so this jersey is basically that. This is the one that I won, and I Alberto asked me to pick any player, but I picked like Marquisio just because he's of course a legend. You can see the number,
Yeah.
and I just like I was every time there's like a beautiful jersey that I want to wear it for a long time. So I picked like a vintage player like Marquisio or like Del Piero,
And
and
then
that's
it
what I did with
becomes
this
safe.
jersey.
You don't have to worry about
Exactly,
what happens with that particular.
exactly.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I hear that. That's great, man. That's awesome. Thank you so much, man. Sharing your stories, sharing the moments, recapping this match, and doing it on short notice. Always much appreciated on my end. But no, it's been awesome. Let's hope as we get a pretty friendly month as far as the schedule goes and the opponents. I know we got Lazio coming up, which will be a good one, but this should be a good month for us, and hopefully we can get some points going and get the momentum going in the right direction. Obviously, we're going to have the Champions League match. I cannot pronounce this Hungarian team's name, Ferencváros, something along those lines. But we're going to play them midweek. This is another one where we really need to get the momentum going and keep it going. Expect a strong showing. I expect a victory there as well. I expect several goals. I watched the other team's Champions League match, and yeah, we need to get this as a confidence builder and take it to them. I expect probably somewhere around 3-1, maybe 4-1 again. Honestly, Moran, any thoughts going into that matchup? What are you expecting? What are you looking for?
Unfortunately, I think we're going to concede a goal. So I would say like maybe 3-1.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Ronaldo, I would expect, will be in there from the get-go. I think Dybala has got work to do ahead of him, so I don't think we'll see him other than maybe final 15, 20 minutes, if that. We'll see. But yeah, I'm hoping we continue with the 3 men in the middle. I think that's going to be key for Pirlo, and I hope he does it. Thank you, Moran, again. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Of course, I'll be back again with another post-match podcast after the Champions League match. Make sure you check out the preview video for that. I usually have some fun little trivia in there. And the trivia will probably be challenging as hell because I know nothing about this Ferencvárosi side. I can't even say their name, for God's sakes. So who knows what we're going to get for trivia. But check out the previews. Check out the podcast. Thanks again. I've got the Twitter handle down here and merchandise, Striped Hearts apparel. Sweet, sweet new designs coming out this week. Stickers and vinyl decals will be available now as well. And for those of you purchasing shirts, stickers will still come. Several stickers will still come with shirt purchases, and there's actually going to be limited edition stickers that will be for shirt purchases that won't be sold separately. So check out all the cool stuff coming out this week. Thanks again. Until next time, Forza Juve, Fino alla fine. Ciao.